Good evening and welcome to Addressing the Issue with me, Andy Straisfeld. Thanks for tuning in on this show because we're now starting an arc now for the next 4 to 5 episodes dealing with about affordable housing and also tiny homes. And that's what our conversation is about tonight. Just to follow up, we will be having another episode regarding Greenbelt, considering what has happened since the aftermath of our last show. And we'd like to get some commentators in to talk about that. So stay tuned. That will be in a couple of weeks from now, after we start our arc on affordable housing. And with me, I have some fabulous guests. I have Laurie McIntyre and Jocelyn Burks. How are you?
Great, how are you?
Perfect. Well, fantastic. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Welcome to the show. This is very exciting. We're talking about affordable housing, and we're talking about something that's really dear to me, is the idea of tiny homes. So who wants to start? So let's start with you, Jocelyn.
Sure. I'm Jocelyn Burks, and I am a community organizer with Belonging Brant, which is umbrellaed under Community Living Brant. And basically, my job is all about going out in community and asking people what's strong about their community, what they want to see, what they want to see more of. Kind of always looking at what's strong rather than what's wrong. So kind of finding out what people are passionate about kind of brings people together, and you find out a lot of things from people when you do that. So that's kind of my whole role, and how I got started in this whole process was just asking people questions about themselves.
Fantastic. Laurie.
I met Jocelyn through some of those conversations. I'm a property manager for JC Homes Not-for-Profit Corporation, and we have been offering affordable housing in the city of Brantford for over 35 years. And we need more. And so we're looking to expand, and this conversation just ended up being the right track for us.
Perfect. So we had an episode prior to this on the Greenbelt.
Right.
There was discussions there about, the reality of more homes, the situation of urban sprawl, the ability of building where you need to be built, and that I think is an indication of something that people are missing in this conversation. So we'll leave that for another episode, but what I wanted to address with you is tiny homes. Everyone has a different opinion. So let's address the issue. What is a tiny home in your opinion, and then let's take it further in how we see or how we think we'll see this here in Brantford. So let's start actually with you.
Well, there's like several definitions of tiny homes. Really what you want to focus on is just the fact that it has a smaller footprint. So it's there's energy efficiencies, there's no need for luxury. It's just you want a safe, secure place to live. And the conversations that we've been having have been kind of wrapped around the idea of an accessory dwelling. So putting another unit on a piece of land that already has a unit. So that's what we've been talking about so far. But honestly, in our conversations, there's been so many different versions. There's been opportunities where people have purchased a tiny home that's on wheels and leasing the land that they're on. We've been talking to several organizations that have been able to build several shelters in one place that had a common kitchen, common community room, and that had many high supports in it too. So the housing continuum is like, the need is great almost everywhere, from somebody who's completely homeless to someone who's couch surfing to someone who's being evicted to young couples who can't afford to buy a house. So I mean, the need is great, and you have to kind of pick where you're going to start. So we've came to the place where we can build some accessory dwellings. So
fantastic. Jocelyn.
Yeah. I really didn't understand tiny homes when we first started. It was kind of a very new thing. It was kind of something that was up in the air, but it started with a conversation from someone who was unsheltered, and he was living on the streets, and he said, wouldn't it be cool? It was one of the conversations about what are you passionate about that I had in community, and he said it would be really awesome if I had somewhere to store my stuff through the day. And I think a tiny home would do that, and he said he saw them through other places, and just like Laurie said, like there's ones that have like the little communities, so it's actually like a bunch of tiny homes in one place, but there's also individual ones, there's accessory dwellings, like there's so many different options. So it's kind of, it started with such like it was just a 10 by 10 foot like shed initially is what the initial idea of. And then since then, my mind has blown that there is just so much more. And when you're kind of like addressing what a tiny home is, you have to be very careful about the language you use, kind of just like accessory dwelling is more common, especially when you're speaking to like when you need to find land and stuff. Having those conversations about like tiny homes is easy for people to pick up on, but accessory dwellings is more kind of relates to the homes that we're building or the homes that we're starting with. So it's really interesting, but that's kind of where it started to where I'm at. I went to a tiny home show recently and I learned a lot about different structures and the way that they can be built and the different like ways that they go and the different names that they have. So it really blew my mind. That is just, people are so interested and there's so much about it, but it's just about knowing who to talk to and where to go is really what it's all about.
I'm going to start the conversation, then we're going to head to commercial break, and then we can talk more about this. So, for those people who are tuning in, and we're talking about tiny homes, my understanding from research that I've done, it could be a container home, it could be a house, a little tiny house that's built on an alleyway. A lot of properties here in Brantford, a lot of people want to be landowners, they want to be landlords, and this is a perfect opportunity for someone who's got a big backyard to build like a pool house or whatever it is and charge rent. So I think the more the people understand the entrepreneurial spirit of what a tiny home can be, the more they'll buy into it, right? A lot of people just don't understand and need to be told, right? And like you said, it's a small footprint from a shed to 200 square feet, I think is the parameters or whatever it is. So when we talk about tiny homes in Brantford, and we're talking about there's not enough land to build it. The city doesn't have the land. The feds can't really help us. The province can't to help us in a sense. Now we talk about social groups. I'm a Rotarian, you're a JC. We talk about how maybe we should all get together and help this cause, and we'll talk about this when we get back from commercial break. But I just want to leave this food for thought for you before we move on, is if you saw it happening in Brantford today, tell the audience how they can be part of it, and what type of events or what type of involvement that you would need from the populace in order to make this happen. So we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back with addressing the issue.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details. Sports fans know Sundays are for football. That's why you need NFL Sunday Tickets. With NFL Sunday Ticket, you'll get every live game, every Sunday afternoon, all season long. Follow your favorite teams and players live in HD. Order NFL Sunday Ticket and get up to 200 regular season games. Say NFL Sunday Ticket into your voice remote.
Summer days, summer nights, lots of things to do, places to go, and people to see. If you're having a few drinks, be sure to plan ahead and get home safely. We don't want to pick you up. Drinking drivers risk injuries to themselves and others and take chances with their license, their jobs, and their future. Remember what's at stake and choose your ride, whether you're the driver, the passenger, or the party host. Thanks for supporting sober driving. I hope we never meet.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Welcome to Tapestry Hall Style. I'm Carolina Suarez, and I can't wait to show you the latest in fashion, food, and entertaining.
Tapestry Hall Style, Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Remembering the Children, National Day for Truth and Reconciliation will honor residential school survivors, their families, and communities. On September 30th, honor the journeys and the wisdom of Indigenous elders, share their cultures, and inspire our children as we share the commemorative gathering, live from Parliament Hill in Ottawa.
Welcome back to Addressing the Issue. I have Lori and Jocelyn with me here. Lori, you have a correction. I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
That's okay. I am not a JC. The JC started the not-for-profit housing organization. I am a Rotarian, though, so I do understand the idea of working for your community over self. But yeah, so I don't know if I want to start with digging in what you were talking about.
So let's do it. Right before we went to commercial, I gave you the opportunity. Now, the citizens are watching. They're learning every moment about tiny homes. We're educating them. We've opened up the door there could be a business opportunity for some people to be a landlord and make some money. But what would you like to see what kind of involvement would you require for the population that you're not getting from government, you're not getting from other groups, that you would love to have the population, and where can they go, what can they attend in order to make this a reality? And we'll do that with you too, Jocelyn. So let's start.
So I'll start with where we're at right now. So through the conversations, through the need, through, like you said, Brantford is landlocked. We're not a city that can expand because we have a border all the way around us. Land is really difficult. JC Homes owns 83 properties in Brantford. So we decided that why not intensify what we have. So what happened is we had a handful of properties that we were, that we thought we might be able to do something on. We had some informal conversations with the zoning and planning department, and put our sights on one particular property, which we'll be able to build a 2-bedroom unit and a 1-bedroom unit on. So we're going to expand we have a 3-bedroom house on it right now, and we're going to add another 3 bedrooms. The idea that we have is that we want to troubleshoot and basically be able to set it up so that we can help others who may be thinking the same things. So the idea of a garden suite or a laneway suite, or just using their backyard and building with a container, like that's what we're going to be doing. This is an opportunity for homeowners, people who own property, who know there's a problem, would like to do something about it, but don't know where to start. So we're hoping that this can be a pilot project that can inspire others to start the same things. So that's where this all started. But then there's the idea, well, it also costs money. So that's where we're at right now. We have preliminary drawings, and we're excited. I know you're going to talk about the summit. We're excited to share with the public who can join us about this project a little bit more and how we can get funding for it.
Perfect. Jocelyn.
Well, the first step I would say is just tuning in to hear, just starting the conversation, listening to people who have the knowledge about it, or just starting to talk about it, just having it in your peripheral vision, to just know that it's an option, because there are so many options, but knowing where to start can be so difficult. So that's kind of where I started. I heard from somebody else, and then I started the conversation with a whole bunch of people at our very first summit last year, and then here we are after a whole bunch of working circles and 2 other previous summits. We're now coming up to our bigger, we have more plans laid down, and that's for this in-person summit next Wednesday, September 27th, from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. at Mohawk Park Pavilion. We are hoping people in all areas of life will come join us and be part of this conversation, to start somewhere and see what we're doing, figure out is this an option? What does this look like? And how can you use it in your own way? And what else is out there? There are so many people with so many amazing ideas and so many amazing gifts, and there's so many talents, and it all started with a conversation, and we've already come all the way to here. I met Lori, and then we met Canada Modular, and now we're meeting you. There's just so many advances with everyone you meet. So having that conversation is always the first step, and coming to the summit is an opportunity to meet people who have been doing it so far and meet new people who may not know anything about it. So that's kind of what it's all about. Just having those conversations, I think, is really important.
Thank you so much, and that's a really good point. So in regards to the summit now ends, and now what do we look for? Do we look for activism? Are we looking like a Habitat Humanity type of solution where people will come out and build, or be supportive, make donations towards these builds, donate some land, share some land, sign up to put tiny homes on? Where do you see the future from here, from this point forward? And I'll let one of you or both of you answer it. Just who wants to take this first stab at this?
I think the cool thing about this summit, the facilitators that we've been using throughout this whole process, don't just talk about things. They actually inspire action. So we really don't know what is going to happen at the end of the summit because it's completely community-led. So what will happen is those discussions are going to start, and then they're going to break off, and then it's really going to be, okay, if this is important to you, what are you going to do about it, and how can we help you, is what's going to happen. But what I think will happen, there will be some education on some different funding modules. We are doing a bunch of grant applications. But one of the really exciting things that we're going to be talking about is what are called community bonds. So we're really looking for a holistic community investment into these projects. This collaborative really, this is just the beginning. We're hoping to set a precedent, and we would love to be able to raise enough funds through the community, through donations, through organizations that want to be a part of it, to maybe have a startup fund for other people that want to do the same things. So it's like the sky's the limit. Everybody's talking about it. I think the scary thing is what's next, like what do we do next? And so that's where I think the summit's going to be really the next step for a lot of people that haven't been talking. Like, we've been talking about it. We have a lot of next steps, but bringing the rest of the community in, because been talking about expansion for about 4 years, and the regular routes and the regular way systems aren't working. So we really have to start looking outside of the box, looking for those other ideas, looking for unusual collaborations to be able to make something happen. So I think that this summit's going to make a big difference. We're having already a really good response. The discussions we've had for the last year there's somebody new in the discussion all the time, and I think we're over 100 people that have been having this discussion. So. Perfect. Yeah.
Jocelyn, hold that. We're going to come back from commercial. We're going to have a shot at this topic in there. So stay tuned and join us in a few moments back on Addressing the Issue.
Long way from Nashville and Mama, I'll tell you that. Performed from Montreal to Boston to Los Angeles. But Toronto, that's my chosen home. Sure, when I'm walking down Yonge Street, I see some funny people who have the nerve to point the finger at me. And grin and smile and whisper. My song was #2 on local radio. Sold 10,000 in Toronto alone. Turned down Ed Sullivan because they asked me to remove my makeup. Wouldn't do American Bandstand because of their segregation policies. I was just being me. Never tried to explain myself to anyone. And besides, none of that to worry, Jackie, because I know I look good. Got a new way of loving, baby. Thought I want to teach it to you.
Jackie Shane was a pioneer transgender soul singer, a central figure in the Toronto R&B scene. She helped shape what we know as the Toronto sound.
Hey, man. Want to go for a ride?
Sure. Toss me a life jacket.
I'm gonna need this. I'm gonna need this.
Nope.
You're gonna need this. And this.
I think we should stay here. I thought you used to play ball.
On Rogers TV.
For frank discussion on Canadian politics and issues that matter to you, tune in to Addressing the Issue with Andy Straisfeld, Fridays at 6:30 on Rogers TV. All right, welcome back to Addressing the Issue. I got Lori and Jocelyn. Jocelyn, this is your shot. So, what would you like to see after the summit? What would be your call to arms, or what would be the call to action?
I think it would be incredible to see a bunch of new faces and people who have been part of the circle, because as Lori said, there's been like over 100 people just join and be part of the conversation, and everyone has their own set of gifts and talents, and there's so much into building a home. So it's the funds to be able to build the home. That is, of course, extremely important. And there's also the idea that there's the landscaping part of it. There's the like making it your home. It's the ability to have ongoing supports always around people who are living in these homes, because community is always evolving, and you want to be able to fit in the community you live in. And it can be scary moving into a place with somebody else on the property, but I think it's such a positive impact. But having people there to support people and be willing to be part of the conversation, and being willing to say, sure, I'll help with that, even in the smallest way, being that welcoming person, that welcoming smile is just as important as being part of the conversation and helping with all the other incredible and detailed things you need to do to build a home.
All right, so let's make it Andy time for a moment. Okay, I'm going to throw out some questions, yes or no. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so tiny home on somebody's property is no different than renting out your basement, renovating your house and having a tenant live in your basement. Now they live in your backyard, 365, 24/7.
Yep.
Okay. It's a great opportunity, and with this community bond, it's an investment. Instead of Kickstarter and crowdfunding, you're going to this. It's going to pay you a percentage. It's going to be secured, and it's going to help the community. That's what I understand community bonds to be.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So this is what you, the viewer, should understand. This is a fun thing. We're heading in the right direction. After World War II or during World War II, there were victory gardens. People made gardens to help support themselves. Since then kids would collect tin and recycling, and that would go to the war effort. Now we've passed COVID, which we considered a war at a time, and now we're back into this world. Housing is out of control. Price of food is out of control. And this is an opportunity to have people. Now, let's talk, no more Andy time, now the question time to you. Okay, to allay any misunderstandings in our viewers or anybody watching or understanding this concept. A tiny home, affordable housing, solving the housing crisis is a general plan to have people have dignity and a safe place to live. And it doesn't have to be somebody who's challenged. It could be someone who had an unlucky piece of life where they lost their job, they've lost everything, and they're trying to rebuild. Mm-hmm. So there's no stigma to this. It's not in my backyard type of issue. We're not talking about something like that. Okay, right. So let's clarify this. We're done now. We've talked. We've had the summit. We have people interested. We have this going in Brant County, in Brantford City General. Okay, it's growing all over southwestern Ontario. Where do you see the future here? Is this an alternative to apartments, or is this in complement to help families get into apartments, into affordable housing, single families or single persons in these tiny homes? They can be container homes, they could be tiny homes in backyard, they could be alley homes, they could be trailers, they could be whatever it may be. Let's have a discussion of where we see the future of tiny homes fit into the real estate market and how people can embrace that. So who wants to take a first shot at this?
Yeah, I think like you said, it's more of an addition. This isn't the overall solution. This is one solution on an ongoing continuum to make it better. There is always going to be lots of solutions. It's just starting somewhere. So we're starting in this place because that's what we could take on, and that's what we've had the energy for. That's what we had the community come together for. This is where we started. But there are so many other options. I don't think it's taking away any options. It's just adding one extra option. It's an option to build community. It's an option to help people who are struggling in the instant. It's also to help people long term. Like, there's lots of options also with tiny homes that you could live there. It could be a short term or it could be long term. It kind of just depends on where you are in life, who owns the property, how you want to go about it. Like, there's so many options, but this is definitely just one addition and one positive way of making a difference. It's not the overall thing, it's just one thing, and you always just want to start with the one.
I agree. They say what the travel of 1,000 steps starts with what?
One step.
There you go. So let's, Laura, you.
Yeah, this is, like Jocelyn said, is just one of the many solutions that can happen. I think we're hoping that it'll inspire a growth of idea, right? Some people are a little wary about the idea of being a landlord because that's kind of, you hear in the news a lot, some scary things too. Another thing that we've been talking about in our circles is doing matching So being able to do appropriate matching so that the new tenant feels safe and secure, and the homeowner landlord would be feeling safe and secure with that decision too. So just being able to encourage people to think outside the box, encourage, discussion about it, showing different ways. So you were saying, you don't have to be considered a certain person to have a container home or a tiny home. The organization that's building for us build beautiful container homes, luxury container homes. So it's on the whole spectrum of what people are looking for. Some people are really keen about being more cost effective and energy efficient and more green, and this is a much better way to be able to do that too, right? There's people who don't want to live in a mass of 2,000 square foot homes. So I don't think anybody, there's not a certain population that we're trying to serve. It just so happens that JC Homes is an affordable housing organization, so we're just expanding on that. So. Well,
thank you very much for giving us a segue. There is going to be a future episode, I think, in a couple weeks from now, where we're actually bringing in some international experts to talk about alternatives. Everybody knows that I'm in the recycling business, and now we're talking about making plastic lumber, plastic bricks. These are things like I think we talked off show when we were in the green room there, where we're talking about how these brothers built this $600,000 home in Nova Scotia that could withstand a Category 5 hurricane, and it's very germane because a hurricane has just passed through. Yes. And it's standing straight and narrow and hasn't collapsed upon himself. There's a lot of building codes that are being adopted. There's a lot of people, architects who are specialized. So I think we're heading in the right direction. We're coming into the age of the tiny home. Yes. And it's not just trailer parks or whatever it is. It's something that can be fancy, and something can be something that can be attainable. So we have about a minute. They'll give you each a minute. Any parting thoughts that you would like to give the population, the people? I think.
I just encourage, if you've been touched by the news about affordable housing, about the housing crisis, and you're here in Brantford and Brant County, I just encourage you to come out and join us on next Wednesday at Mohawk Pavilion. I think you can give us a little bit more detail, but I just come and explore what could be possible.
Absolutely. I completely agree with Lori. The summit is happening on Wednesday, September 27th from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. at Mohawk Park Pavilion, and lunch will be served. There's going to be snacks and refreshments throughout the day, and you're going to see us, and you're going to meet a lot of amazing people, and our facilitators with Axiom News, they're going to be the ones who are helping put on the whole summit, and I can only see the possibilities that are possible. Yeah.
Perfect. Lori McIntyre, Jocelyn Burks, thank you so much. Thanks. If you enjoyed what you hear week upon week, please tune in every Friday at 6:30 here on Rogers TV 20 Brantford. Drop us a line, let us know. If this resonates with you, let us know so we can be the conduit of your messages to our guests. So until then, thank you for tuning into Addressing the Issues with us, and stay safe.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Remembering the Children, National Day for Truth and Reconciliation will honor residential school survivors, their families, and communities. On September 30th, honor the journeys and the wisdom of Indigenous elders, share their cultures, and inspire our children as we share the commemorative gathering, live from Parliament Hill in Ottawa.
Online betting is booming! Booyah! Woo! Oh yeah!